Hey guys, welcome back to our series called God's Plan, where we're teaching you how to make God the CEO and keep him as the CEO. We want to remind you guys, join us for our tour. We're going to Atlanta, DC, Dallas, Chicago. We cannot wait to meet you guys in person. We just have a wonderful experience planned, and God is really going to do some amazing things. So you have to be in the room so that you don't miss out. But as far as this series goes, for this session, I want to talk about what happens when you're starting to grow. Like, you kind of grasp the fear thing, you kind of grasp the making him the CEO, you kind of grasp the whole hearing his voice thing. Right. And now you're growing. Then you're starting to see the manifestation of everything that you're praying for. Yeah. How do you make sure that you don't slip? Because it's so easy to be moving on one accord with God and then maybe getting in a groove, so to speak, to where you kind of veer off a little bit. Right. So how do we make sure as we grow and the success is coming that we keep him as the CEO?
Yeah. So for me, I think that it's important, again, to know yourself and to know your spirit, know when something feels off. And it's funny because I was listening to Sarah Jake's podcast last week or the week before, and she said how important it is to like reintroduce yourself to yourself. Yeah. And I think that's really important because as we're growing, we're going to go through growing pains. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of feel like that's where I was maybe last month or so. It was like growing pains where you're being stretched, you know what I'm saying? And you don't necessarily know what's coming, what's next. And I think it's very important to just ask God, okay, who am I right now? Or who are you calling to be in this next season, in this next step? Like, that is so powerful. Like me, I went from working full-time to full-time entrepreneurship. That is a huge, a huge thing. And just when you feel like you're in the flow, there's going to be something that knocks you off. So I think it's very important to know yourself. Know when something is feeling off, you know what I'm saying? And don't be afraid to level up and reintroduce yourself to yourself and ask God to reveal the things that he knows that you don't know. So I think it's just very important to be in tune and know that it's okay. Like, growing is uncomfortable. Like, the stretching is crazy. Like, sometimes it hurts. You know, you're casting things off and you're picking things up. So it's very important to like just be patient with yourself during your growing process, and keeping God in that and knowing that there's something that he has that you can't see. And that's why I think it's very important to be patient, which is something that I am working on, because you can have all of these desires and there's nothing wrong with that, but to do them according to the way that it's supposed to be done is a whole nother story. So I think it's very important just to know that everybody goes through growing pains, you know what I'm saying? And God honors the fact that you want to do right by him, you know what I'm saying? So just trust that leadership and trust the process. Like, I know everybody says that, but growth and growing with God is a process. It's not a one-stop shop. I say that all the time because there's always another level, and y'all heard us talk about that, you know what I'm saying? So keeping God while you're growing so close is critical. Because there's going to be, life happens, you know what I'm saying? There's going to be so many things that come up, but I feel like as long as you can take time, what I've been doing lately is deep breaths, when I feel like something is veering off. Like, I try to like really get to the root of what's going on with me right now, like what is feeling off, and that goes into like when I journal and things like, God, I'm really feeling a little bit off today, you know what I'm saying? I felt like we was good, but now I feel like we're up and down. But it's a part of that growing and that stretching and the casting and the picking up process. So one of the things that God has been telling me is, as I elevate you, you got to stay low. And staying low means staying on your face, continuing this lifestyle of fasting and prayer, continuously seeking me. Otherwise, what happens is, as you grow, let's say you are growing successfully. Let's say it's not even the pain season, but this is your reaping season after everything that you've sown. It's easy to kind of drift off because it's seemingly you're not depending on God as before, because all the success is coming out. Exactly. Like, I made it. Exactly. And so one of the things that he's warned me about is to make sure that as I become successful, to stay low. And I think that's how you make sure that God is the CEO, is by creating a lifestyle
with him being the CEO.
Yeah.
So having your schedule to where my morning meetings with God, to where this is my time to read my Bible. You know, we talk about the Proverbs 31 woman. She woke up in the morning and she planned her day. She had her staff, her servants, that's what they had back then. She let them know their task, and she rose early and she made sure things were done in decency and in order. And so I think that's big when it comes to keeping God as the CEO, is to create a lifestyle of decency and order. And the order is God, family. So if you're married, that family, whatever, and then business. So just making sure things are in order. So for me, I like to check in like with my schedule. What am I doing? Am I creating a lifestyle that keeps God out? If so, that's not going to work. Am I is the demand for me, let's say, to speak so high to where I'm so booked and busy, I don't have time for my husband, I don't have time for God, I don't have time for anything, but I'm out here trying to secure the bag so much so that I've lost my soul. So it's so important to have that schedule. So for me, I'm like, I wake up at a certain time, I make my husband breakfast, I prepare his lunch, I'm reading my Bible, I'm doing all of these things. Like I want to have a balanced life. I would never be happy if I was only a wife and eventually a mom and not a successful entrepreneur. And I would never be happy if I was only a successful entrepreneur and not having a family. So I feel like I can do both and honor God. And be not and honor God, but I can do both because I honor God. And so again, having that lifestyle of like, God is first. I'm seeking him at the top of the day. I'm praying. I'm fasting. I'm reading my word. I'm making sure that the things that I do are in alignment with him. I keep my heart and my mind fixated on him. Because it is so easy to get drifted off. I mean, even now I've noticed myself as I've gotten busy, as my responsibilities have shifted, you know, getting married and stuff, just my responsibilities now are shifted. I have to be like, okay, God, I remember coming back from the honeymoon. So we were in Jamaica for like 2 weeks. I got married in Jamaica, y'all. And then we did our honeymoon right after. So I came back home looking around like, oh, so like this is it.
We married now.
So we married for real. Like this wedding planning is gone. Like we're back in town. Like you just upgraded a level in my life. Like now you come second to God. Like, whoa, what does this mean? And I had to go and pray like, God, what I'm supposed to do? Like,
it settled in. It got real.
It got so real. And it was like, I had prepared up to that point. Of course, we went to premarital counseling and all of that. We did all this preparation, and now we get to the point where you got to play the game. And it's like, oh, okay. So I had to really like take a step back and be like, okay, Tatum, now your priorities are shifted. So you need to make sure that you're doing things in decency and order. You need to make sure that you are before God. You need to make sure that you're still fasting and praying so that you don't get away from it. And even with that, with the added responsibilities, now I've gotten busier. And so there are times where I'll be like, dang, when is the last time I just sat in God's presence? And I know because I start to get kind of anxious. So that's an indicator to me that it's time for me to go back. And so usually the way I whip myself back into shape is by a fast. So I'm like, okay, that tomorrow, no food or nothing from sun up to sundown is me and God, because I drifted off and I allowed myself to get too busy. So as soon as I get in God's presence, God, I'm sorry, like repenting for allowing myself to get to that point, but then also seeking him, like, what can I do to make sure that I don't get back there? Like, what did you see that I could have been avoided that I allowed myself to get into? So I think the biggest thing, again, is just making sure you have a lifestyle that keeps God first. So what are some of the things that you do to make sure that your lifestyle in this season of your life keeps God at the head?
For me, it was creating that schedule. Like, honestly, in the beginning, like when I first quit my job, I was like, okay, I don't, like, what do I do? You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I walked through this whole different season, and honestly, I feel like without even realizing it until it settled in. So for me, I was like, okay, I need to create a schedule that honors where I am. So for me, that first thing I do in the morning, I like to brush my teeth and stuff to like wake me up, because I be tired. So I just like to feel alive. I'll open my windows, get the sun in, make my bed, just create the atmosphere, right? And then I'll get straight to it. Like, God, you know, I always thank him for another day. This is the day you have made, and just set that tone. But it's been really important for me lately I just want to get in his presence. You know what I'm saying? I just want to know, okay, what do you want? But I've actually been really good at making it a thing to make that the head of my day. Like, and I notice when I don't, if I'm moving too fast, oh, I gotta do this, gotta do that. Like, it's just way too much. Like, I'm a person where pressure can easily build up. So it's really good for me to notice that, all right, well, maybe this morning, like, did I spend enough time? You know, did I miss a part? So, I think it's really important to start your day like that. And as I've been showing people, like, documenting it more on my Instagram, people have been like, yo, I really need to do that. And I'm like, yes, sis, like, it really helps. You know what I'm saying? Starting your day like that. So I feel like, you know, all in all, like you said, keeping him in that rightful position, in that rightful priority at the top.
I think that's good. And something else I think we continue to hit on is the importance of understanding yourself and how you operate. Because I know that I have an overachieving nature. So much so that I was told, like, you get straight A's, I'm gonna give you $20. So I'm like, oh, bet. I'm trying to get these straight A's and get the $20. But I don't care if I earn the A. If I can just sweet talk the teacher to get an A, I don't care. As long as I get the $20, right? So because I was an overachiever and I worked so hard to exceed the expectations of me that I had and that other people had, I was always just trying to hurry up and get to the destination. And because of that, it made me be really controlling. So when it comes to God, I can't surrender and be controlling. You can't pray and worry. Like, they don't go together. And for me, keeping him at the head means daily, God, not my will, but let your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Like, I have to consistently die to myself in order for God to really work through me. I have to. It's not going to work if I don't do it. Otherwise, I'll be out here trying to build my own stuff, and it's not going to work like that. So for y'all that's listening, a part of keeping God at the head, a part of making him the CEO, is constantly dying to yourself. So that his strength can be shown through you, so that what he wants to do can get done through you, because it's not about you. I think that's another thing. We think it's all about us. We're so self-centered and narcissistic that it's like, oh, this is all about me. I it's not about you. You don't know who it's about. It may be somebody who never liked one of your pictures, who's paying attention that God is going to use you to reach. It may be somebody you've never met before. It may be a family member that you didn't even think was watching you for real. Now they've given their life to Christ. Like, it's so much bigger than us. And I think once we really get married to that and understand the magnitude of that, and understanding that it's not about us but about what God wants to do through us, it's a lot easier to kind of keep him up there. So do you have any final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
I think just one thing, you know, you were talking about how, you know, you like to have control of things, or, you know, you wanted it right away. One thing that my bishop said to me one day, he was like, you know, Keviah, God doesn't want to make you a one-hit wonder. You know, he wants you to have longevity. And I was like, wow, like, you know what I'm saying? Because you just think you want to get somewhere so fast, like, and I can speak for that, you know, because I've heard the things that God has said about me, you know what I'm saying? But like they say, you know, it doesn't taste as good in the microwave as it does the oven. So, you know, you just have to be patient throughout that and keep God in position. So that wraps up another episode of this series. Remember, join us on tour: DC, Atlanta, Dallas, Chicago. Go to godismyceotour.com right now. Right there to get your tickets, and we will talk to you guys next week.